One of the rituals growing up in my lifetime with my family, mind you, my mother was from Brooklyn and my dad was from the Bay Area. That's how they met. My mom came over here, but we used to have this big ritual, right, on Sundays at night. We'd either go to Spanger's, which many of you know was this little dinner place, and they served lunch too, even breakfast. But it was mostly a nighttime joint in Berkeley, one of the biggest restaurants, not only in the Bay Area, but the entire country. And they did a fantastic business. Everybody loved the food. It was a little dark, so you can talk and just relax, right? Sunday, and it was known for they were known for their seafood, but they had steaks. And if you cared to drink a little, they had a big bar and they had, the wine and all that. And it was especially great if you went with a group, but you could go with a friend. If you're a guy, you want to take a girl out and impress her, Spangers. It's a different kind of a style. But one of those places, you can go there, and I'm sure there were other places. You go to the city and the Venetian Room, little place you can go. And of course, they had all the standbys like the North Beach restaurant, which just reopened, by the way. And, the little fancy places. So, why am I bringing this up? Because somebody sent me this 9 minute, nine or so, maybe 10 video, a little movie, but it's not really acting, with, of all people, the late, great Don Rickles and Robert De Niro, or Bobby, as Marty Scorsese likes to call him. And they're sitting there in the Craig's, which is a real famous place down in Beverly Hills. It's where all the power brokers go, celebrities, and they talk and they eat and they eat and they talk and they schmooze. It's a real East Coast kind of a deal, but in this case, it's Beverly Hills. And you can walk in, it's open to everybody. But the big shots get the little quiet booths, the private booths, right? So watching this video, and I'm sure many of you have seen this already. If you haven't, folks, you got to watch it. It's only 9 minutes. And in fact, I implored my friend Michael, to watch this. I was like, God, he's like telling me what's the deal. I said, watch it, you'll find out. And it's priceless. Now, some of you will get it, most of you, some of you will not. But it's Rickles, and this was done in 2017. And not but 6 months later, Rickles died. And he looks very frail, but he's very, very alert and lucid in this little movie. And he's sitting there eating dinner with Bobby De Niro, Bobby, and Marty Scorsese. And they're talking about the fact how they made Casino, and there's little video vignettes, and I think you'll really enjoy it. But I wanted to post the video because I people ask me, well, what's bliss for you? What's magic, And I took this girl out to dinner. I say girl affectionately. And this was years ago. I was trying to make, big impression, that kind of a thing. So we went to one of these joints. And in this case, it was a little quiet place in San Francisco, that many of you know. I'll save the plug for a later date because that's not the premise of this. But it was like one of those, like an Alfred's. That's the place. I'll just get it out of my system. It was Alfred's. Again, dark, tablecloth, good food, great food, and you can talk. And it wasn't loud. I don't like crowds. I don't like loud. I like a place where you can talk. There's a little music in the background. Anyway, what's bliss for me is this. And I love this vignette with De Niro and Rickles and Scorsese. And I know a lot of you are turned off to, probably, or some of you with De Niro because he's quite active politically and all. But just bury your head for a second and put aside your political whatever. Okay. I'm not crazy about certain people's politics, but put that aside. This is so good and so funny without being forced or contrived. It's conversation, it's an execution that you can't, well, you can't rehearse. And I'm making a big deal about it, but these are the kind of things I enjoy. Like, I had a friend of mine from New York come in, and he and his wife, the kids were grown up and they're going to school. So he'd come out to the Bay Area every now and then and take me to dinner. And big time New York exec. He's now deceased. But in any event, he always liked going to places like I just mentioned, like in Alfred's, or even though it's got a lot of competition, right? New York with all the great restaurants, Carmine's and Riauch's and 21, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I mentioned this little video because it's you gotta, and those of you that will watch it and haven't seen it, or maybe you've seen it before and it's so good you watch it again. These are people, creative people, and I'm a big Scorsese fan. I think he's absolutely taken for granted. The great films, all these films that he's done, and no matter how many times maybe you get a little pissed off at De Niro for whatever he's saying these days. Again, I don't want to talk about his politics. I want to talk about the actor, the character, the persona that is Bobby De Niro. And you see it. It's funny. I look at this little video and they're just talking. And as I said, Don Rickles, it's folks, I appreciate this kind of discourse. Yeah, call it a little schmaltzy. It is, but it's so Sunday night. And Sunday night used to be a big deal with my family. I often used to tell my father when I was close to him at the time that Sunday night was a big night for the Jews and the Italians, not Saturday night. Saturday night was kind of like amateur night, right? We still refer to it as amateur night, whether it's you're on a date, whether it's just going out with a girlfriend or a boyfriend or what have you. Most of the kahunas liked going out on Sunday night. Look, go to the House of Prime Rib on a Sunday night and just see for yourself. Not that Saturday night isn't popular. It is. But Sunday night, you'll see a lot of the old Italian San Francisco family that are still around. Huge volume of business on Sunday night. If you go to some of the other restaurants, same thing. So back to this little movie. I love it. I could watch this thing 20 times, which I've almost done. But they're just sitting there and they're eating and they're talking. And even though technically it's a movie, so I guess they're acting, it's all genuine. I love that word, genuine, because they're eating and they're schmoozing and they're talking. Schmoozing is talking. It's just an extended talk. So we in the Jewish familia refer to it as a schmooze. And these are geniuses. And Rickles, well, by the way, I had a chance to meet one time, and it was not positive, believe it or not. 25 years ago, he came to the Bay Area. And my mother, who hated everything, right? Typical Brooklyn Jewish mother, wasn't impressed by, and I don't mean that real negatively. I may have echoed this one time to you all. My mom was kind of, she wasn't impressed by people or celebrities or big to-dos, right? But nevertheless, Rickles is in town. He's playing at Marin County at the auditorium there. I think it was the Marin Civic Audit. Yeah. And I was buddy at the time, which I was, with Larry King. Larry was big time Don Rickles fan, friend, had him on his show a gazillion times. You've all seen this. So Larry graciously got me 2 tickets. And yeah, what am I going to do? I'm going to take a woman to go see Rickles? Nah, they wouldn't get it, nor would they care, nor would they want to go. They said, Mom, I'm going to take you out. It's Saturday, April, the year 2000. I'll never forget it. And Rickles is playing. One of the few times he ever played the Bay Area. Most of their circuit, Vegas, Atlantic City, LA, this was a one-nighter. And it was a Saturday afternoon. Anyway, I'm going to shorten this up because I want to talk about this little movie. But he comes, we get there at about 5 o'clock. It's a 7:30 show. I figured we'll get there. We got good tickets. Might as well get there early, that kind of thing. All of a sudden, it's about 5:30. I'm in the parking lot. My mother's in the car. I go to get the tickets, right? I figure we'll go get a bite to eat. We'll come right back. And we'll sit inside the theater and watch Don Rickles. Limousine pulls up. Uh-oh. Don Rickles is in the limo. Comes out. He's got a short sleeve shirt, glasses, sunglasses. He signs a few autographs. Hey, Don, I yell out. Riuch Lieberman, I'm friends of Larry King. He got me tickets. I wanted to just say hi. How are you? Doesn't look up. I know he doesn't know my name, but you're a human being, right? You look up. I sound like Larry right now. Larry, you look up, right? You hear noise, a sound. Why not look up? So I'm yelling at Don Rickles, yelling at him, say, Don, he's doing this. I said, Don, are you kidding me? Why are you acting like such a schmuck? Folks, I swear to God, I said that. I'm not proud of it, but I said it. And I'm like, I can't stand it. I've seen Rickles a gazillion times in Vegas. I saw him. One of my favorite comedians. I used to laugh my ass off. I was so pissed. I'm being very, 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 I know, overreactive. Oh, what a new story for you, pal. I was so angry. I get to the car and I tell my mom, I said, Mom, Rickles just came out of the limousine. Didn't look up. I'm yelling, hey, Don, it's Rich, friend of she started laughing. I said, Mom, do you want to see this guy? I'm pissed off. She goes, well, what do you want to do? I go, well, if I had my druthers right now, I'd get in the car, go out, something to eat, like we just didn't get the hell out of here. She goes, do what you want to do. I said, Mom, would you mind? Do you want to see him? Well, whatever you want to do. Do you know I drove away? I was so pissed. And I tell that story because, A, it's the truth, and B, you think, these people, they're in their own world, right? When they're doing, their shtick or their stage work, and when anyway, long story short, it didn't work out in that end. I still regard Don Rickles as my comedy nirvana. I always thought he was hysterical and funny, and yes, I know a lot of you don't like him, didn't think he was that, fun, and the insults and the black people and all that, all that. I thought he was hysterical. This encounter didn't work for me. But I'm watching this little movie. And again, I'm going to put it up there. You're going to see it. And please watch it. But this is, to me, an element that you don't see. And this is the good Don Rickles. And it's very heartwarming, too, because this is right before he passed. And we didn't know about it. I mean, he was frail. He's probably in his early 90s. But you can hear him talk. And he tells stories. And Scorsese. This is not that long ago. It's like 8 years ago. And Scorsese tells these little side stories. And De Niro is De Niro. In this little 9-minute film, it really defines my idea of human civility because it's real. And I use, again, the word genuine. These are people just having a simple dinner. There's no screaming. There's no yelling. There's no, hey, Don, remember me? Larry King, he set me up a ticket. Okay, that's my own little joke. But my point is sometimes you can watch, observe the most basic tenet of human life. You're eating dinner, and they're just talking, and they go into these little, these little soliloquies. And this is what I miss about going out. Because to me, and even when I was trying to pick up women and stuff, I didn't like going to clubs or places where there was loud music. And I know, a lot of people wanted to go dancing, which didn't do anything for me then and now. Where to me, bliss, just everything, having a nice, quiet dinner. And if you're out, to be in a place like this. And it really is, speaking of defined by watching this little film. And it's so terrific and so brilliant. And again, a lot of you people, a lot of you folks will get it. Some of you will say, what's the big deal? What's the fuss? Well, I think of it as the fact that I grew up in the Bay Area, but I should have really grown up in New York, because every night in New York is like Sunday night. You talk to people, and lunch is lunch, but dinner is dinner. But they do a lot of lunching in New York, and it's just more along the lines, decorum, personal behavior, and all that. People enjoy things like this more. Now, these guys, the wise guys, real good fellas. I love it because it shows a side, probably, that you've seen of Rickles, but there's some little eeny beeny parts where it's extremely poignant. And for my case, and I know I'm making a big deal about this, but you have to kind of have it in you, or not. And I just thought this was something that I wanted to talk about, because I know a lot of people, Sunday night used to be a big deal, kid. Just dinners and family and all that. And it doesn't get the recognition that it deserves. And I'm talking about this little movie. Thought it's really great. And if you ever go down there to Craig's, uh, I have a tab, and if you could pay, no, I'm just kidding. But what I love about it is you just sit there, and they have the music. I love the music on this little film. De Niro, as I said, bury your feelings and just look at the De Niro character. But he's not really a character; he's playing himself. And Scorsese, who I always wondered, as great of a director as he is, you don't rarely. I think he was in maybe a couple cameos. That's what I appreciate about Martin Scorsese, is that, you think with an ego like that, knowing all these characters like Joe Pesci and De Niro, and speaking of Rickles and all that, and all these, Goombas and Frank Sinatra, he rarely acted in movies. He could have done, I think he did some cameos. He certainly had the character and the whole thing. I don't think he was in a lot of movies, if at all. But watching him just, again, schmooze. You know what my favorite part of this movie is, in addition to what I just described? At the somewhat very end, but it's not the very, very, very end. Watch that. Anyway, they're eating, and the waiter comes over and hands whomever the bill. Watch that scene and tell me via your comments. I see a few people are on my YouTube here, perhaps echoing what I'm echoing. But watch that scene. It's so hilarious and so, oh God, that's right. Somebody's got to pay the bill. Let's see if you like it. And it's very normal what happens. I'm making a big to do, but I just found it kind of unique that, uh, anyway, it's a little hint. I think it's Scorsese who grabs the bill. Um, I wholeheartedly recommend this little 9-minute perfect little film, especially on a Sunday night. when you're eating a nice steak or maybe some salmon or some ossobuco and you're drinking a little red wine or whatever the hell you're doing, and you enjoy things and you like little fascinating achievements like this, tell me if you, especially if you haven't seen this before. There's others out there. They do these little dinners with various people. Rickles. In fact, there's one with Rickles and Billy Crystal. This is my favorite because it is, I think, life at its finest. And no, it's not an amusement park. It's not a roller coaster. It's not two people making love. This is dinner with Don, and wholeheartedly gets my recommendation. Thank you for watching. See you later.